All right, so it's me, Max, and Mike, episode 2. We're back. Larry, before we get into anything, it's good to see you. I haven't saw you all weekend. You've been on some adventures. Maybe tell the people how your weekend was.
Man, RV camping, and we always like to get away. And we've been so busy the last several years that now finally I've got myself into entrepreneurship as a family, as a whole, that we get to take a little weekend trips and allow us to buy an RV camper. And man, it's been so much fun. So much family time that you may think that you've missed is just, it's so, I'm happy.
Yeah, you went down to the lake, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I went down to Kincaid Lake and we went kayaking. First time in 38 years I went kayaking. That was different,
Yeah, you said you turned your boat over?
Yeah, I turned the boat over. And it was on the way back. The damnedest thing, it was on the way back because evidently you're not allowed to swim in Kincaid Lake.
Who would know, right?
Well, I feel like if they put you on the water, then you assume that maybe it's okay to swim.
Yeah, have water, will float.
Whatever, So we got up there and man, it was amazing. This is gorgeous. We got there on the way back, come around, we can see the bend, coming around the bend, I'm going, here we go. And so I happened to take my phone and I go, hey Paige, hold my phone here, and it wasn't a split second later, it was like, boop, and I'm underwater. And Paige is like, oh God, I hear everybody.
Are you a strong swimmer?
No, I'm pretty good, but it's hard with shoes on.
Yeah.
But also, yes, I am a strong swimmer because I had to show the family. They're always talking shit. Like every time that we go out, we're always, yeah, Dad, swim. Dad, you can't do this. Oh, Dad, they think it's funny because like I can tread water pretty good, right? So I'm just chilling in the pool, treading water, and they decide to try to race.
Here you are, an Olympic swimmer. They didn't know.
Pop showed out for sure. But anyway, I tipped over and that fucking, I've got this size extra small life jacket, thank God.
Extra small.
They supply you. It's $10 an hour for a kayak up there. Sweet, man, awesome. So we go for 2 hours and we're out there, we're hiking back and going. And next thing I know, I tip over. And that fucking thing says, whoops. I believe in fucking life jackets from now to eternity, man. I really do. But the thing about it is I'm sitting there like laughing and having a good time. And I'm like, okay, fuck, wallet. Okay, wallet's in the car. Oh shit, car. The keys are in my fucking pocket.
That can't be good.
Yeah, and it's the only set of keys that we had because the other set got picked up, lost, or stolen in the bar. And so that's the only set. I'm like, oh fuck. What are we going to do now? And I'm sitting there just, here they are, and Paige puts them around her neck. It worked. Everything was good. The energy came to where we needed to be, and it worked out. So the car's driving now. We're good to go.
I imagine in those situations, there's like this lifeguard that comes out of nowhere, dressed like a park ranger, and he's like, "Get out of the water! Get out of the water!"
Funny you bring that up because there was a situation like that. Like as I'm like fighting for my fucking life.
Is he on like a Segway or is he coming like a horse, like a Mountie?
It's not even a he. It's kind of like this Karen type shit that you see. It's
wow!
Like, hey pal. There's no swimming in the lake. And I was like, no fucking shit. It was like, I fell out of the kayak.
I'm not swimming. I am drowning.
I'm trying to swim to the side of it. And she's like, you can't swim in there. And I said, no shit. I'm trying to get to the side and get the water back, whatever.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, okay. And just walked the fuck away. Walked away. That's the last heard from her.
That is.
Yeah, it was fun.
That is the line between you and your safety. Is like if you had just like had a hand out of the water, she'd have just waved at you.
It's like you're fucked.
We're doing this podcast. We got a lot of excellent reviews. Lots of people wanted to hear your story, and they watched episode 1. Had a lot of great things to say. Now there were a few negatives. Obviously we had a one-on-one conversation. It was kind of a rough go. We did it at the bar, and the sound quality wasn't exactly what we wanted, but it was just like hey, here is our introduction. And obviously you had a story people wanted to hear because regardless, people tuned in. We've had a lot of positive responses to it. And now we're here in the studio and we're doing it upright. And
I'm kind of glad it went the way that it went.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it now. Like, you were telling me on the way over here about, we got some complaints about the sound quality and everything like that. And I was like, yeah, it could be, everything could be better. Everything could be great.
You never know till you try.
But, the thing is like, we're talking in regards to me, right? And if you look back on it, in regards to me, everything that I've done has never been great starting out. It's never been great starting out. Everything that I've done, I've seen potential in something. So I see potential in what we've done. I can't see starting it any other way. Right there, you see episode 1. Yeah, boy, those echoes were there. Yeah, boy, that was it. But you also heard the story of the same way of, yeah, boy, he was in that backyard. Yeah, boy, he was training up there when it was fucking 20 degrees outside. He was chipping ice away. That's a whole nother podcast itself.
That's it. But, your whole journey, and people cared because they sit there for an hour and they listen to it and they watched it. And here's another thing about complainers that I always like is that if you're really ever upset about something, what you do is you leave, you turn it off. If you don't like a store, you don't go to that store. If you don't like a show, you don't watch that show. If you don't like a movie, you don't watch the movie. People love to watch it all the way through so that they have something to complain about.
Yes, and we need those people.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I'm not upset at those folks in any way that had complaints. I believe that anyone that watches, pays attention, it's a product. They want to watch it. They have every right to criticize it. Mm-hmm. But also in regards is, you get yourself in the game. We put ourselves in this game. We open ourselves up for criticism. Also in return, it's there. It's give and take. It is what it is. We're here to make people better. Hopefully those critiques make us better.
Yeah, you got to have thick skin in the wrestling business. There's so many people, that can't take small any kind of criticism at all, constructive or otherwise. Yeah. And, those type of people, you're never going to grow. You're never going to get any better if you can't learn what you can do better, grow on it, and continue to build.
None of us are experts starting out. None of us are. But, I like to practice repetition. And what I found from repetition is repetition creates success. Success creates wealth. Wealth creates happiness. And I ain't talking about money.
Hey, I tell you, but you know what is about money? Paying those bills, getting those sponsors in. So we're going to go to break, and we're going to come right back, and we're going to get right back into the story. Larry D making an impact.
It's Joe's Kitchen. Buy your stuff from SkullFace Records. Get off your asses and do it. SkullFace Records.
Well, we're back, and me, Max, and Mike, like we said, it's episode 2, but it's a continuation of your story. So, we're talking about making an impact, but this week is more about you. Last week we talked about you getting to Impact Wrestling. This week, you're at Impact Wrestling. This is the beginning. This is the journey. So it's Larry D makes
Scott
his
Steiner
impact.
Died on my first weekend.
Oh gosh, R.I.P. Scott Steiner.
But he came back to life.
That's it. He had to see Larry D and what Larry D was going to do in Impact.
I was like, what the fuck? But no,
No. I think you owe people a story here.
Oh, I'm getting to it. It was my first set of tapings, and I had never flown before, ever. And it was in Atlanta. And D'Lo Brown was my agent there, or, who I was talking to. Mm-hmm. And
big shout out to D'Lo, right? He was always good to you.
One of my most favorite people in the entire wrestling business.
I can remember you telling me, you're like, man, I look down at my phone and it says D'Lo Brown, and it's still crazy.
It's like, wow, I used to watch him. You better recognize.
That's right, you better.
But man, really one of the most genuine, most kind, loving, and like I'm glad that I have the friendship that I have with D'Lo Brown.
Always seem very real with you and honest with you at all times.
And that's how I could have easily drove to Atlanta. I've done it with my eyes closed, and. He's like, you never flown? I was like, no, sir. I've never hopped on an airplane. He said, oh, bro, you got to fly. And sure enough, set me up. So 2 days later, I got my confirmation email, Delta and this, that, and another. And man, I remember it was 6 o'clock. You take your selfies. I'm so excited. I'm nervous. And Paige is scared to death. She's like, "Oh God, what happens?" And all that.
Yeah.
You know how Paige is.
And it's one of those situations too. I can remember that when you first got signed, she was thinking in her mind like, every time I'm going down to Impact, and me and my man, we going down there, and then it was like, I'm out, baby. You'll be at home for weeks at a time sometimes.
I owes to her because it takes a strong woman to be with a man that travels the country like I did, So she kept it held down. But man, I remember we took off and I was like, oh shit, fuck, I should have drove. I'm scared. I'm scared of heights.
You're flying like D-Lo off the top rope.
There looking at him like, oh shit. And then we get up there and then my hands are sweaty. And this lady's like, first time flying, baby? And I was like, yes, ma'am. And she's like, it's going to be just fine. It's only a 45-minute flight down there to Atlanta. I was like, thank God. That means we got about 37 more because I'm terrified,
There you go.
So we get up here to level out, and then I get, this ain't bad. But I do remember, and hyping myself. I was like, man, you want to be a real fucking wrestler? You going to be a real, this is what real fucking wrestlers do, whatever. But man, I knew on the way down, I was like, man, this is life-changing. Regardless of what extent, this is really cool. I'm going to go tape national television for a national televised company. And, I'm under contract. I was on cloud nine, man. My kids were so proud. My dad was scared to death. Everybody was worried that I was going to be 40,000 feet in the air because no one's ever flown in my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, it's amazing. Anyway, I get down there and you check into your hotel and all of that and, Ubers and everything that goes with it I wasn't used to. And shout out to Ethan Page and Josh Alexander for letting me hop in their Uber at Atlanta when I first got there completely lost.
That's that brotherhood, man. You got to look out for that guy that,
man.
After somebody probably looked out for them.
Hey, for real. And even Mike Elgin that time, he put me right in his vehicle, his rented vehicle, and drove me all the way around there. And he made sure that I got where I needed to be. And now I know airports like the back of my hand.
I've been there with you. I know.
Yeah.
You're the guy. It's just follow the leader.
Yeah, man.
It's like that with us anyway because I'm blind, so I'm constantly having to follow the leader.
So I get there and we get down and we have a promo on day one. It's like, if you remember the promo, it's me and Ace, and it's like, the earth is this big and we're going to crush you to the core. And, I'm wearing the blue.
Big, like natural disasters feel going on right there.
And I thought, like, man, we just hit a fucking that promo was pretty good. And I remember the best advice, and you hear me share it all the time. This story, I know you know what I'm saying, is the one where Raven, who is very quiet, he pulls me off to the side and he says, hey, big fella. And he says, you mind if I, of course. You're fucking Raven. Tell me what, please.
Yes, please. Put me under the learning tree.
He was like, man, the promo was good. He's like, but I feel like if I was at home on television and watching at home, I feel like when you talk, I'd have to turn my volume down on the TV. So I really don't get to hear what you say because you're yelling with everything. Mm-hmm. Then he was like, if you just hit that high point, come down, everything that we know, but it really don't sink in until someone like fucking Raven on TV is giving you the, hey man, this could do better. And from there forward, it's like, I got to hit this.
Yeah. Well, Jake Roberts once said that if you watch his promos, Jake Roberts was never like a screaming promo.
Right.
Because like he said, when you watch somebody scream, like you said, the instant reaction is like, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah.
Which you think as a worker, like, yeah, I've got them. They're so annoyed. But that's not the reaction you want at home because they turn the TV down.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't turn the TV down, they automatically stop listening.
Right.
Because if I'm screaming at you, whatever I'm screaming about, you're going to tune me out. Uh-huh. And like he said, but when he whispers, it forces you to have to start listening to what he's saying. Yeah.
Like it's a different ball game then. Like when you go to an indie show, it's like, man, that's a great promo. You did fucking wonderful. Mm-hmm. But like when you got guys like Raven that's like taking the time to say, man, this could be real good if. That's the difference between television wrestling and just good old fashioned, hey, we're buddies wrestling.
Yeah.
Is that they don't care to be your friend, but they also know that their job is to make you better because of the television product. And man, that was awesome.
And we had talked about it last week. It's like you get to where you think like, man, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I'm the best guy in this locker room.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you realize that for however good you were, wherever you were, you're at the very bottom. Like, what are your expectations? Like, all right, so you've been signed to Impact. When you get that contract and in your mind, we talked about how we're all fans at heart. So here you are, and you're a fan of wrestling, and you're like, oh, I'm signed to TV. I'm a TV star.
Right.
And what did you think it was going to be like as compared to what it actually was like when you got there?
Well, I had an idea because I feel like I've always held myself to like the profession. I didn't want to be just a good old another hand. Like I studied the game. I liked how professionalism was held. I liked how you could get your ass chewed and it'd be just fine because it's just to make you better.
Yeah.
That's just the football. That's just the football in me. And I dug that shit, and I knew, man, I could be real good here.
Another thing, too, is like this is just another small story that most people don't know is I can remember when you were a big football star.
Yeah.
Like you were, for what it is, lots of guys for years will be like, man, those glory days of playing football, and they don't do anything but that high school game. But in high school, they were the guy. And I remember when you were the guy, and Coach McKee put a lot of pressure on you guys. And I can remember him asking you, like, hey, you want this or you want wrestling?
I wanted wrestling.
That's it.
And I believed in it. Like, I didn't see me being an NFL football player.
Yeah.
I enjoyed football with everything. You know that. But man, I had wrestling in my heart from always, and when I put my foot in, I think I made the right choice in life by choosing the wrestling game.
Yeah, Gallows had a similar story where he said that he was playing football and he was all embarrassed by it, and also at the same time couldn't let them know that he was wrestling on the side. So he went and he wrestled, and he's in this outfit. I think he had face paint on, all the things you would think of, probably the streamers on the arms. And he said he remembers looking out, and there was his coach with his arms crossed in the crowd, and it was like the next time it was like, hey, you want to be a wrestler or you want to be a football player?
Mine was more so the fact that, they made fun of me. Mm-hmm. It's like they didn't take it serious. They thought we're just playing and hitting each other and just being silly, because we were being silly. It was in the backyard. But
no one will ever understand unless they're in it.
But whenever I took offense to it because I really knew what it took to be a wrestler, and I knew the things, and I was willing to do that on top of still perform the way that I was expected to, and not miss a practice and not miss a weight session and not do any of that. I didn't feel that was right for me in my free time, even though I learned how to wrestle. Should have been treated that way. And McKee's one of my most favorite people. I see him all the time.
Hopefully he's listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. And I've since gone out there and I've spoke to the team, and I've talked to them about not quitting, not giving up, because that was one of my biggest regrets as a child, was the fact that I didn't finish. I really would have liked to have finished that senior year, but man, I was so hooked, and so I knew what I wanted, and it was wrestling. It's best that I didn't stay, because I probably would not have been able to give my all.
Yeah.
Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, but I don't want to risk it, because I wouldn't want my son being quarterback if my center wasn't all there.
Yeah, I can remember I went to school with your brother, and your brother seemed to get really good grades and seemed to do really, really good job. And one day he told me, he's like, hey, I'm going to be signing myself out of school as soon as I'm old enough. And I was like, why? You do well. And he
like to work.
That's what he told me. He said, I can work outside of here, and that's what I want to do. And he's been working ever since. It goes back. We talked about your family and your dad and that drive.
I think it's like everything else, and I knew when I was down there, I felt that I could take that work, that drive. I didn't have a big name value going into Impact Wrestling except in the Midwest. So I knew that, like, if I had anything, I'm going to work my fucking ass off.
Hey, that's it, man. And you know what? Speaking of work, we got to put a little work in with these sponsors. So when we get back, we're going to talk more about the story. But hey, let's get a little word from the sponsors.
All right, let's do that. What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to SkullFace Records Radio. You guys want to help and maybe own some of your own SkullFace Records merch? Dude, we got mad CDs for $10 a piece. CDs like the Next to Nothing Valenian Split, Brian Himes' 2020 release with SkullFace Records, my newest release, Nick Nasty, Ryan the Lion, the Kentucky's Underground comp series 1 through 6. Those are available right now. $10 shipped straight to your door. Swamped and Ashy, One Part Madness, Anonymous, Cannibalistic Death Cult. Also, at SkullFace Records, we have a whole bunch of cool shirts that are going to be available for $15 shipped. Now, we had a lot of overstock, so the custom colors might not be exactly what you want, but they're $15 shipped right now. Hit me up on Facebook or at nichimes@gmail.com to make your orders now. Also, through Lord Thaddeus, we have some patches, we have some stickers available. Like I said, just hit me up on Facebook or at nichimes@gmail.com. That's NICHIMES@gmail.com to make your orders now. Don't forget also to check out all of our shows, our programming, our new music releases, our podcast shows. You can see all that on our YouTube page, all over Facebook. Check out our SkullFace Records Bandcamp. That's skullfacerecords.bandcamp for all of our new music releases. You can download, get the digital side of SkullFace Records through our Bandcamp. Thanks. This is Nick Nasty, and thanks for tuning in to SkullFace Records Radio. SkullFace Records.
So, we talked about what your expectations were. So what was the difference though? Like, did you think that, hey, they're going to pay for my flights in, they're going to pay for my rooms, they're going to pay for my meals, they're going to buy gear? Like, you have so many people that are on the lower end of wrestling that think they know, like, hey, once I get signed, I'm set. They're going to pay for my gear. I'm going to be on commercials. I'm going to have endorsements. Like, whatever it is that they think it is.
Just read those contracts. Mine was 21 pages.
I remember you signing that contract in the locker room in front of all of us guys. We were running Primetime Wrestling, and you were there, and it was in Paris, Kentucky. We were at the building that we were running at the time, the Sportatorium, and I remember you making it a point to have all the guys there so you could let them know that, like, hey, this isn't for me. This is for all of us. It's to show you that if you bet on yourself, if you make that commitment, if you're willing to level up, that anything is possible. If you put the work in, this can be you. Yeah. I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing it for each and every one of you. And I wanted to do this in front of my, we weren't just a wrestling crew. We felt like a family, like a brotherhood.
Of course.
And you wanted to show them that this is possible.
Right.
Don't ever think that this is just a dream, because we talked about it last week. A dream is something you wake up from and it's not real. It's a fantasy. And then what you're doing is a reality. You set a goal and you had achieved that goal, and you wanted all those guys to know that, hey, work hard enough and this can be you.
Man, and like some people will call bullshit on this, but it is true. You know me, and you know my heart. And this is truly how I felt. Like, thinking back, like now, even then, I thought, like, man, I'm 36 years old at this point. I knew that I had a one contract, maybe two, and a lot of people, man, here's a contract, whatever. But realistically, I think, okay, 3 years, re-sign another 2 or 3, and then go from there. And, throughout that, my first, and I had the same conversation with you shortly after, was, man, I just want to get in here and do my very best and make the most money I can for my family. But in the process, I want to build the school. I want to make a good rapport, and I want to do good work to know that the people that we put out, we as in me and you, because I can't take credit for all these kids, what we put out, know that they have a way in, they have a foot in. Now, I can't get them in, but I would like to think that I would like to have worked hard enough that they know if someone says, I came from the camp that Larry D is a part of, that they would give them.
You definitely showed them that it's a possibility. And one of the things that's different between like us and most schools is that, Legends Pro Wrestling Academy, we know the hardships that we went through. Right. We'll talk about a lot of those as the podcasts go on, I'm sure. But we know the struggles. We know everything that we had that happened to us that was a setback. Yeah. And we want to help them to hurdle that. And they're going to have their setbacks. They're going to have their bad days. But we want them to achieve their dream with as little setback as possible, and to learn from our mistakes or even just the things that we did wrong.
It really is like having a child. You really are like a father to these people, and you've gone through like a dad's like, boy, you don't want to drink that beer. You might not want to pick up that cigarette right there. Old dad done that. Yeah. And now these years later, you find the same thing. I probably wouldn't have, that doesn't sound like good business there. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Old dad did that years ago, and it's the same thing. It's just a different concept, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you always practice what you preach. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, don't talk about it. Be about it. Level up. Yeah. Take your bow for your small achievements as much as your big achievements. And the one good thing about you is that you always stay, people may think there's a persona of Larry D, this like asshole, or, oh man, he thinks that he's this big star. Right. You're very level-headed. You've always known that what you have could be gone at any point in time, and that you constantly have to continue working because you can't rest on what you have. We talked about that last week.
Even more so at the next level. Yeah. Like it's mentally nuts there. Like I don't think people realize how hard, much pressure that, getting there is one thing. Staying there is another. Especially when you're there and you feel like you're doing everything that you can, everything that's asked, and it's still not enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's before you even go into that, it's like hindsight is easy. Like we know now looking back, but when you first got there, could you imagine that it was going to be the amount of work, the amount of stress? There's no way you looked at it and knew it was going to end the way that it did.
Not at all. Not at all. Going in, I knew that this was not going to be easy, but fuck, I was ready. Like I waited my whole life for this. It's like I knew I was meant to be in this very position. I knew that I was meant to be in front of this very camera. I knew that I was supposed to be right here where I'm at right now, regardless of how it ended. Yeah. I fucking knew it. And, I can't complain about that.
I love that you always bring it back. Yeah. So like anything you picked up there, any tricks, anything that, I always talk about it. Me and you have a mindset that we're always constantly trying to learn and always trying to get better. But anything that you learn to where you're like, well, hey, I didn't know that before. You would bring it back and you would apply it to the independent wrestling shows you were on. You'd apply it to the school. We would definitely apply it to the company that we run.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I though? Like, isn't that our duty? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Or are we just supposed to keep the level of talent below us that's eager, that's ambitious, that might be able to make a lot of money one day? And just because they might be able to make more money than we are, or that we will, doesn't mean that we can't fucking bring them up. Yeah. So I have to take what I've learned right away immediately, because again, I don't know tomorrow. You don't know tomorrow. These people around us don't know tomorrow. So if I wait on this, then I'm not doing a service to wrestling at all. I have to teach immediately, because the goal, in my opinion, is to make it to the next level and be the very best for your family that you can be. And if I don't share that with you immediately, I'm not doing you right.
Yeah. Plus, the other way is like, I know the way that your mind works. It's like sometimes you just got to get it out now, because if you don't get it out, it's like it's consuming you. You're all over the place. Yes, sir. So it's very good, and we're good at like harboring the next generation of talent, because we know that. I'm just recently turned 40 years old. You're almost 40. The thing is we're not going to be able to do this forever. We've seen the generations before us that, whether it's by their own choice or, booking decisions or whatever it is, there was no like fostering that next generation. You can look, it goes everywhere. Look at like WCW and how they pushed people and they didn't push up the younger talent.
I think it's just the way that wrestling was. Mm-hmm. And what I love about wrestling now, and you hear the difference between I say wrestling and then what I love about wrestling now is that it's so helpful. Everyone wants to see everyone get better. But the problem is sometimes when they get to that top level, it's a struggle. You can be happy for someone, but it's a struggle to see them get something that you don't, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Right? Well, the thing I've always loved about like our relationship and the way I think that it should be in an actual friendship is you should always be proud of the people and want them to do better, and you want them to do the best. I have people tell me all the time, they're like, hey, if you train a guy that goes to the WWE or Impact or whatever it is, that when they're talking about the next level, wouldn't that just make you mad that, you've never made it and you train this guy and they make it? It's like, no, I want to be able to say that I was a small part. I think in wrestling, we're all just a small cog in a machine, and eventually they'll take us off. They'll put somebody else on.
Of course.
But let's build the strongest machine possible. Let's make sure the machine continues to run.
But I can't sit here and honestly look at you as close as we are and say that there's nothing wrong with having a why not me.
Yeah.
Not an attitude, but like a why not me way of thinking. But it just depends on how you look at your why not me. Mm-hmm. A lot of people could look at that why not me and bitch and moan and fucking gripe. Or you could look at a why not me and then say, well, why not me? What have I done to make that why not me? Because now I don't want to be why not me. I want someone else to look at me and go, why not me? Mm-hmm. Because I'm willing to put the work in. I'll stay up 20. I'll go all day. Because the why not me was me because I was willing to put some work in.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Well, we always talk about whenever we do seminars, we do it, we talk about it at our school, whenever we do camps. One of the things that I always preach to the people, and it's a thing that I learned not even from wrestling, this was a thing that I learned in business, is you have to say, what do I want? Yeah. And am I really willing to do anything to get what I want? Right. So, anybody out there that's listening, here's free advice. Here's something that you would get by coming to our school, but hopefully this helps you, is imagine what you want, and it has to be your goal. I want to make it in wrestling. Okay, there it is. And it doesn't have to be that. It could be get a brand new car. It could be, marry the most beautiful woman in the world. Whatever it is that you want, you have to imagine, like, okay, if what I want is across this table where you are, it's easy for me to reach across there and touch your hand right now. So if goals and what you wanted were that achievable, everybody would do it because it was easy. Imagine that you've got two giant, like skyscrapers, two big towers. Imagine like the Twin Towers, two big giant buildings right beside each other, and you're on one and what you want is on the other. Now I put a tightrope between the two. And if you want it, you've got to get across that tightrope. You got to risk everything. You've got to get from A to B. And you would still have a lot of people who go, oh man, I'd do anything. Okay, you have to think, you have to look in the mirror and you have to go, is that true or am I just telling myself that? Would I really do anything? Or, do I just kind of want it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. You know, but the biggest thing is you got to fight your own fires.
That's it.
That's what it boils down to, is you got to fight your own fires. The efforts you're willing to go for the reward that you see fit, what you see for yourself. It's because a lot of us try to worry about what the others think. And I was really big into like, man, I want to go here and wrestle, but I know if I go here, those guys are going to give me grief and this, that, and another. And but if you start doing shit for yourself, you got to be, what fire are you willing to face? You know, that at the end of the day, I was willing to face plenty of fires, and I can't regret it.
That's it. And you get so many people that they truly believe when they say, "Oh yeah, I want it more than anything."
Right.
But we've seen a lot of people that say that, and eventually they look in that mirror and the reality hits them. What I always tell people is, before we get to that point, honestly ask yourself, what do you want and what am I willing to do to get it?
You're right. And a lot of them find out it's not quite for them, and that's on, again, the next level. Sometimes it's not quite for people. Sometimes you're out, sometimes you're in,
Yeah.
Just happy to be a part of it.
That's it. That's it. And we're a part of it. And something else that we're a part of is this podcast. And the only way that it goes is if we hit those sponsors. So we're going to go to a commercial and we'll be right back. We're going to talk about some more Impact Wrestling.
Subscribe and share SkullFace Records /YouTube to follow all your favorite podcasts. Pinfalls and Power Chords, starring Nichimes and Michael Lynn Watkins. One Time on Bandcamp, starring Ronnie Kenner and Nichimes.
So Impact Wrestling, you're there. It's the first day. I think no better time than to go ahead and tell your Scott Steiner story now.
Oh yeah, well we had cut the promo. Well, this is actually day 2, I believe, if I remember right. We cut the promo day 1. Day 2, if you remember right, remember when Moose starts packing this replica TNA title out to the ring? And that's back when that was first coming up to be a thing.
Start saying he's the TNA heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and they start. Remember they gave him so much grief over like, man, it's fucking $300 India the replica belt. Anyway,
Oh yeah, but hey, you know
that's
what?
beyond.
Nobody in that company that I've noticed, at least watching from this side, carries himself like a champion
Moose.
quite like
I love
Moose.
Moose.
And so at that point there, you strap a replica belt on him, and he's still a champion.
He's the man.
Yeah.
And so Steiner comes out and he cuts this promo and this, that, and another, and we're up next. It was like me, maybe it was a match before us. It was me and AC against the Rascals, Reno Scum, TJP, and Falaba.
Yes, I have that here, and it looks like it was March 7th of 2020.
March 7th, okay. And so Steiner comes out, he cuts his promo, big booty dad. I'm talking, he's on fire.
He's worked up.
Atlanta.
The veins are flying.
You know what I'm saying? He's in
Yeah,
Atlanta. You could already imagine.
that's it. Red in the face.
He walks through the thing and he goes down there. He's fine. He's jacked. He's fine. He goes down. And then someone, I can't remember who it was. Hey, Scott's down. Well, he had a heart attack. And they're in there fucking like, man, I'm telling you, like, and it was just like silent. Just right there. And then it's, hey, get so-and-so, get a medic. It's that another man. They had to fucking shock him. And, I wasn't there when all that happened. But, I just stayed up on it. I mean, I can't, to me, that wouldn't be in the way. I know absolutely nothing about it. We need to let the medical professionals, and thank God they was there and everything, because that may have been different outcome.
Does that like throw you off? Like,
dude.
It's like now you're not thinking about your match. You're not thinking about go time. You're thinking like, man, I could have just watched Scott Steiner die in the back of this building. And, here I am. And you probably never, ever in your entire wildest dreams thought, first off, hey, I'm going to make it. I'm going to sign Impact Wrestling. Second off, I'm going to watch Scott Steiner die.
Not even that, is the fact that you're working for the company that employs the same guy that you fucking watched television growing up. Like, he's an icon, you know? He's big booty daddies. Everything that you like, damn, he might be dead back there. Yeah. It's just, that's the harsh reality of wrestling, man. I mean, I found out my uncle had died 10 minutes before I went out in St. Louis one time.
You've
that was tough.
You've had a lot of moments like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was tough. Like, he had been dead a couple of days.
How do you push through?
Whew. Well, that's the difference between a wrestler and a wrestler, I guess. My uncle was pretty much filled the voids while my dad was gone. And that was tough, man. Like, he struggled with addiction and everything in the last little bit of his life, and we kind of lost a little contact. I mean, you see him, but you see him. Yeah. And I was in St. Louis, and it was for St. Louis Anarchy, and I was going to go to the ring, and my wife runs back there and is like, hey, I know, like, you're up soon, but like, you need to really come out here real quick. And as soon as I came through the door, she had just hugged me and said, hey, your Aunt Marie called and they found Rodney dead. And I was like, oh, fuck. And like, me being me was like, well, hang on, let me deal with this. Yeah. Let me deal with this in about 20 minutes.
Now here's my thing is like, do you start, does that throw your focus, or do you start focusing extra hard?
Really and truly, this is terrible to see. I think it would hit me if it was my dad different. Yeah. But it hit me. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was, but I also knew that I had other lives at hand, like going out there. And like, I knew that like, at the end of the day, I had a job to do and I had a family to support. And I just had to put my big boy shoulders on, and I walked back through, and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm sorry." And they just told me my uncle passed away, and they was gonna pull me. And they was like, "Hey man," I was like, "No," I mean, That's just what I'm doing. It's what we do.
Yeah.
It's I guess it's just what we do.
That's it. I mean, I've seen you. So you've deaths,
Yeah.
Divorces,
Everything.
all sorts of stuff, and you just go out tunnel focused, and you can't read it on your face. It's a sign of a performer, because you turn off Larry Jones, turn on Larry D.
I think it boils down to this, and again, and sometimes people might think that like I have a way with words, but the end of the day, and this is truly how I feel, is, these people put their lives at risk to come watch us perform, as do we put ours. They spend their hard-earned money, and I could have easily pulled out of that match, but I feel like I was doing a disservice to the fans, to the crowd, to those people, because I used to pay and take my dad's money that he worked hard for, and I feel like I always got my money's worth. So it's old saying like, "Man, give them their money's worth," and it's just the way it is, man. And to say that it wasn't on my mind while I was wrestling, it was, but to say that I didn't have safety at first had to be my first and foremost, was my opponent's safety and everyone around me safety. And I got to come back through the curtain and go out and have myself a nice little cry. And I got to talk to my dad and my mom and my uncle and my other, I talked to my uncle, but he wasn't there. I went out back and talked to him by myself, and that was tough because like he would take us fishing and like fuck, man.
Yeah. I remember you telling me the stories like
you
you skip school and go to the fishing hole.
He would take my mom would be like, he's gonna walk the boys to school, and he would find a reason to take us out back, and there would be like fishing poles and fishing tackle, and we would just go fish until the time, and then because they didn't call like the schools today is like they're on you. You can't fucking skip school today, but back then we would just fish and bring us back at the right time, and there you go. And then we got caught. But yeah, man, I dearly miss my uncle, and that was a real hard time in wrestling for me. But you got to be a pro. You gotta perform.
Yeah. Hey, man, you've always pushed through. You've always gave people a show.
Yeah.
I've never known you, we've been on shows where there's 10 people sitting out in that crowd, and we've been on shows where there's 400 out in the crowd, and who knows how many people are there in the impact zone or wherever you're at. But the thing is that regardless if Larry D is on Impact Wrestling, or if Larry D is in your local armory or in some building with no air and, the people are pouring sweat, somehow still you come through that curtain and you give them that same show. I watch a lot of guys and they'll perform and they're just not, they haven't learned the lessons you have yet, and they'll go out there and they'll do a great job. But still, I tell you to this day that I can watch you go through the curtain. And right then, like I've told you 100 times, and people can think that because we're friends, I'm blowing smoke up your ass. It's like when you go through the curtain, the wrestling show starts. Yeah. One, you want to go home and tell your friends about it's this one here, because they'll be sitting on their hands, or they'll be, a little respectful golf clap, and you come through and it's Larry. And the thing is you know it and you play it up. And I've also seen you go through the curtain, and you'll have those people that they don't care one way or the other. You're the same as Joe Bob from down the street, but still you give those people everything you got.
Well, man, again, I love it that much. Obviously we do it for our families, but man, I love it that much. And when I step through the curtain, I'm really in that zone of like, I am Larry D. Like you said, there's a thin line between Larry Jones and Larry D, but boy, when that Miley Cyrus hits and I pop my baby through that curtain, and I'm in a different world, and I can't think of a better place to be at that point in time, because everything that ails me is gone at that point. Yeah.
It's a whole new world. No one will ever understand. Jeff Jarrett said it one time where he said, to the people that do it, no explanation is ever needed. No. And to the people that question it, no explanation will ever do.
Yes. And we'll be right back. We're going to a commercial break, and we're going to talk about Atlanta some more.
Yeah, we got to get on. We got to get on that road.
We got a lot to talk about yet, so just hang with us. We'll be right back.
In a world where no musician is playing real instruments, where everyone is streaming invisible movies. We fight back. One podcast, one record label, bringing you physical media.
Let's talk cassette tapes, vinyl, VHS, Laserdisc, Betamax. Let's talk physical, not invisible.
Only at the Splattercast Massacre podcast on SkullFace Records Radio.
So on your way to Impact Wrestling, you always had, we've talked about it, the persona. It's like, here he is. It's Larry D. Larry D's the man. We talked about it last week where you said a guy had told you were the Hulk Hogan of Kentucky wrestling.
Right.
And then everybody was like, man, this guy's a star, and it's sign Larry D. And they do sign you. But you get there and you find out that it's not going to be this big run. You had, before you got there, and people say it all the time, everything you did before you got there means absolutely nothing, because when you get there, it's from scratch. It's like, what have you done for us lately? You get there and you're not on this big singles tear. They tell you, like, you're going to be in a tag team. They're going to team you with AC Romero.
The tag team wasn't even supposed to be a tag team that first week. I was just happy to be there first and foremost. Anything that I'd done at Impact, I was happy to be there. But like, I kind of felt like, man, I'm gonna have to work a little bit here to prove myself, out of that first loop of Lexington, Louisville, because me and AC were not even supposed to be a tag team except that loop. And then I guess it just stuck whenever D'Lo's like, they're 3 times the size of their opponents. They're triple times. They're triple extra. I'm gonna call them triple XL or something along those lines.
Yeah, but I believe before you guys made like the TV debut as a team, that you all had a match with Madman Fulton and Dave Christ.
That was night 2 in Lexington. Night 1 was night 2 was Louisville. That's when we did. It was us and OVE. But night 1, it was AC and I against the North.
I remember that.
Page and Josh Alexander.
That was the Lexington gig.
Yeah, and we were enhancing, of course, putting over. So I kind of had an idea, like, well, I'm going to have to work hard here. But my hopes didn't get deterred at all. Just we need to work hard. But it's difficult, because you're thinking, well, fuck, I'm on a 3-year deal. My time may be come around or something. I don't know. I didn't know the plans. Hell, no one knew the plans, I guess.
And the thing, too, is like, if it's just you, hey, I'm responsible for Larry D. I'm responsible for the work that I put in.
Yeah, it's always been that way.
Now it's you and a partner. So the thing is that as you are doing this, you can't be accountable for that guy. But as they're looking for you guys, when they're thinking about pushes, what they're going to do, the future – you guys are kind of a unit. They're looking at you and they're going, hey, here's the team. Whoa. And you can't control what the other guy does. So how does that make you feel as far as your future is concerned?
Well, it's difficult. It's tough. Everyone holds everyone accountable. I wish that I had known AC a little more. I think that we probably could have communicated better. Probably could have pushed and motivated more. He was from Maine, lives in Maine. I'm from Kentucky. We only tagged at Impact. So it was hard to, really get in the zone, of, tag teams, me and you can go out there and we fall right in, but here you don't know how he works. And, he might want to do something this way. I want to do it that way. And, promos and this, that, and another. And it was tough. I think that there was no offense to AC and no offense to Larry, but I think that Larry felt that he would have a better opportunity at Impact Wrestling as a single star. And I think that Ace Romero, it would be fair to say that he would feel the same way. if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I feel that, we felt that we could be bigger stars and bigger assets to the company away from each other, but they had thought that we would be bigger assets together. So at that point, we want to make the best together that we can be. But I really feel that when Scott was signing guys, like just boom off the jump, hey, here's the contract, you know. And
you need a bigger yard to play in.
Yes, and I think that it gets down to the point of, creative maybe not is aware of the news talent that's signed like off the fly. Yeah. So maybe
throwing everything against the wall, seeing what sticks.
Right. So maybe creative is not ready or know what to do yet with said individuals.
Yeah.
But you have to find spots and you have to fill cards and whatever comes with it. I wish maybe that we could have had even a little more time off television earlier to allow the right storyline to allow us to come in, because if you look at us as a tag team at that point in time, we're massive. I was going to the gym, but I was still 350, 360 pounds.
Yeah, the whole gimmick is that you guys were just
Ace
huge.
Was around 450, maybe pushing 5 at the time. So we were massive, the huge tag team. I feel the only thing missing, and I told you this, was I wish we had like a James Mitchell. I wish we had like that mouthpiece that could speak for us, and that we could, we could be those monsters that we could be. I feel like we could have some really good angles, some good storylines, and some very good creative if booked correctly. I'm not saying that we was booked incorrectly, but I feel like we could have done more.
Yeah, well, that's the good thing a lot of people say about like WWE's developmental system. They've got NXT, is that they are able to do trial and error and try things, especially before it became its own brand on like television, when they're able to run like house show loops over and over and over before they do the big takeover events. Maybe Impact doesn't have that type of thing, and so therefore their developmental, their trial and error is, hey, let's throw it out here and let's see what works.
Man, I'll tell you, I can't remember which producer it was, but the night that I got the contract offer, like, it was really cool. It was awesome. And I can't remember which producer it was, but he's like, man, the coolest thing I wish that we could have done while that moment, he was like,
talking about when Scott
signed me in Dayton. He was like, really, he's like, everyone knows you've been chasing Impact Wrestling for a long time and this, that, and another, and you finally get there and he offers you the contract. He's like, I wish that we could have fed in there to you just to punch him. I wish that you could have just fucking right-handed Scott Demore in the middle of the fucking ring and said, take your contract, and shove it up your ass. And like, that would have been like some really cool creative. I think that would have been fun.
And the thing is you went the very next day. You said you went to Detroit, and you were a single star there too. So you get down here to Impact, and now you're in a tag team. And once you guys come to the realization of like, all right, this is what we got, and we got to make the best of it. Yeah. How did you feel, like in your mind? I'm not sure if you talked to AC or not, but I know that you can go into like your mind. How did you feel like, what was the potential of Triple XL? Like, where did you feel like you guys could take it?
Well, you know me, I'm always like, man, we can go to the moon, or you can give me whatever. I felt like we had loaded potential. Like I just said, look at our tag team. We're the biggest tag team in Impact history. As far as
size matters.
Size matters. Yes. I feel like we had, once we got like the matching gear and like I start throwing a chain around my neck and like everything started, like I can see Triple A. Like I feel that we could have been Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions. I really feel that way. I think the missing piece was a mouthpiece. I feel like we cut good promos, but I feel like we just needed that extra.
Looking back on it now, do you blame creative, or do you blame maybe you guys didn't do enough? Like, what made it to where you didn't make it to that level? Do you feel like creative just didn't see it, or you guys didn't work hard enough?
I think the word blame is such a nasty way to look at it, I guess you would say, because I can't blame nobody. I can't blame myself. I can't blame AC. I can't blame the creative. I just think it's one of those things where the moon and the stars just didn't quite add up to where they needed to be. Do I think that creative could have done more with us? 100%. And this is with all due respect. I feel that anytime you got those that are willing to work their way up, and they're okay with being at the very bottom. I'm okay with doing a promo on day one. I'm okay with putting somebody over. But man, you know, if I'm constantly working my ass off, you know, I went in there, I was 381 pounds. And, you know, I was off television, and that really hit me mentally to where it's like, you know, I'm told get in the best shape of my life, And that's what I did. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be the very best that Larry D I can be. And I feel over that time, I was giving them the very best Larry. I was begging, you seen it, look at me. Yeah. I'm ready right now. I'm the best I've ever been. And I just felt like they never threw me a bone. And I guess it was just, it was either lack of wanting me there, or just, you're a good guy, you have nothing for you. And I really feel like it was, you're a good guy, there's just nothing for you. I would like to hope that was it, because everyone was really cool there, you know, but still didn't change the fact that I had a lot left to unleash, and so many great matches that we could have had their Impact.
Yeah. So, I mean, with removing the word blame,
yeah,
do you feel that you, and you know, if you want to speak for AC, that's fine too, but as a team, or you can just speak for yourself, do you feel you did everything you possibly could do? Did you work hard enough? Did you fulfill your end of the deal?
I can't speak for AC, nor will I speak for anyone. I will speak for Larry Dale Jones.
Yeah.
and I know for a fact that the way that I was hitting, and the efforts I was putting in, and everything that I was doing, I know for a fact that I gave my very best. I gave everything I could to be the very best Impact Wrestling superstar that I could be. One without a shadow of a doubt. You've seen everything that I went through in my life. You've seen everything that I've gone through within getting my diet together and really putting everything I got into this, and bloodshed tears, to know that I gave everything I had to Impact Wrestling.
That's it. And the whole time they're telling you how much that they love you as a person, and they want you there, but not showing you quite, you know, as much love as what maybe they could have. But we know where it goes, you know, but we're not there yet. We're at the beginning. So what is the biggest difference, or at least you know how you felt on day one, and you know how you felt on the very last day you were there? What's the difference there? How did you feel on the first day as compared to the last day?
Day one was super excited. I mean, I really didn't care about creative. Never cared. Like I really mean I'm happy to be there. So I was just happy to do the job that I was doing. I was happy to be on TV, and I was happy to be where I was at still. As far as the last little bit, like, I think I knew in Vegas that I was going to ask my release. I felt that it was just, there's nothing there for me. With all due respect, there was nothing there for me. They had me in a little spot with Rohit Raju, and then I'm dressed in Larry D gear, and you know, about 2 hours later, it's like, oh, there's Lawrence D gear. Yes, let's put Lawrence D gear on. And then, you know, I come to the ring.
No vision for it.
Yeah, I could tell, like, my Tron was Larry D, and it had the old fucking, you know.
Could have been anybody.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is, again, I'm happy to be there, whatever. I'm in Vegas.
Yeah.
And you know, I come to the ring, and I hear, like, oh, Larry D, just in, like, the little, you know, they have the ramp, and then you hear the crowd, Larry D, and it's like, what the fuck? Yeah. and then it just was a little 2-minute spot just to get to a little match the next week that I felt, you know, it's like, man, thinking as a company, like they've spent all this money to fly me out. They've got this room for me, got my dinner, paid me well to do what an extra could really do. Because I was, at that point, I knew I was like, it's not important.
First day you're a priority, and the last day, you know, we talk about it all the time. Like, if you're a worker, you want to be written for, not written in. Well, so you don't want to just be like, hey, we can put anybody in this blank. You want them to have an idea. And, you know, that first day, obviously they've got at least like, hey, let's try this tag team. And by the last day, it's, we can get anybody to do it. Let's fly in Larry D.
I was so excited too, man. And like, again, you can't be mad at no one, but like what I was getting was, man, you know, this is the Larry D relaunch right here coming to Vegas. It's the Larry D relaunch. I'm so excited. We're happy to have you back. And man, I got down there, and it was like, you know, I felt like a president walking into a Ruby Tuesday saying hello to everybody. I was like, man, this feels great. I love this place.
Because like they said, they liked you.
They did. They loved me.
Just no idea what to do with you.
Yeah, they just didn't have anything to do with me. And I got there, and I got my creative, and man, I tell you, for the first time in 20 plus years, I had to walk to my room because I was upset. I was like, man, worked so hard to get back. You know, I've fucking mentally been drained, emotionally drained. I feel like I've been kicked in the nuts time after time. I've called, I've canceled bookings and I've took bookings away and not taking bookings on account of, you know, getting television dates sent to me, and to not hear, and then to where you reach out like, hey, by the way, am I on? Well, you know, you were on the first set of draft, and then now this came up, and you're not on, and it's just the constant of being told no when you know that you deserve to be there, and you know that what you put forth to get there, the hard work that you endured, and doing eating shit. I was eating shit. I feel like for no reason, you know, and. You know, while everyone else is in Las Vegas and Knoxville and Florida and New Orleans and doing everything there, and I'm in fucking Murfreesboro, Tennessee, or, you know, wrestling in front of nobody. Well, there's the Impact pay-per-view. You know, you're an Impact star. Oh, fuck that. You know, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm Larry D.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's all at the relaunch, and we're going to definitely get there. But right now, we're at the launch. So we go back, and it's your first day there, and you're in this multi-man match. So I've got it right here. It's Falaba and TJP.
Yes.
I know that you had a pretty good relationship with Fala. TJP has been all over the world. He's a great cruiserweight. He was a cruiserweight champion there in the WWE, won the Cruiserweight Classic. You've got the Rascals, you got Reno Scum, and you got Triple XL for the first time.
Right.
What do you remember about that first match?
I remember being extremely nervous, extremely excited. I know that we got there, and they made us look big, you know, but we only had a short amount of time. So you only come in for 30 seconds here, 45 seconds there, boom, 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 hit this, you guys come in, do your dives, and then you're done. You know, so really and truly there was about, we was there 6 minutes, but we had probably about 2 minutes of good solid work, you know. The match was good, but I knew that, again, we wasn't in, it could have been any tag team there. It didn't matter if it was Triple XL or ABC.
How was it different working that Impact style and working that first television match and working any of the independents that you worked around the world before you got there?
It was just, you got your spot. There is no, you know, you don't have time to burn. It's, you better hit where you got to go. You know, it doesn't matter if you register and you just boom, the camera's off of you, roll. You know, it's more, a little more, say, fast paced, I guess you would say. But to me, I'm a guy that registers. So
yeah, and I feel like you were telling me a lot of things about how it's not about like, hey, let's hit all this really cool stuff, get all this stuff in. It's like,
yep.
You know, here it is. Okay, we're in break.
Yep.
All right, let's do this. Like there's certain spots that you have to hit, and it's not easier. Obviously, it's high stress, but it's an easier layout than just doing everything you know and throwing it out there. They don't want everything that you know. They want what they've asked for.
I remember that first set. That's all we did. We cut promo day 1. We did tag match day 2, and flew back home day 3. You know, or didn't have anything day 3. So, you know, we was already on like partial tapings. We really and truly we had one match that it didn't really do us any favors. It didn't hurt us, didn't help us, I guess you would say. But now I figured a debut, I would have liked to have seen us just fucking attack someone and you know, start something.
Really make an impact.
Yeah, really make an impact. Yes. You know, I feel like we had a good opportunity there that was probably missed as far as debuting on television.
Yeah, you'd already started out and you're just another team.
Right.
There was nothing special about
was
you.
not important
You
at
had
all.
the opportunity. I mean, they're not saying, hey, go out there, you get nothing, you're getting squashed. But at the same time, you got to get yours.
They let us get ours. You know, I can't say they shit on us, but you know, it's the fact that I feel that, man, we had a really good thing. We could go here. We could really be solid here. But you do what you're asked. You're thankful to be there. You know, Moose wanted to wrestle me. that day 1, he had asked what we were doing, and he was wanting to wrestle me in an explosion match that never happened. I'd love to wrestle Moose, by the way, if anyone out there is listening.
That'd be a great match.
Moose. Yeah.
Hey, Moose is good. Moose can go, and so can Larry D. So that's a match. So somebody book it.
I think it's money.
That's it. I think that anybody is, you know, they're writing their own check, printing their own money if they have that match on the card.
Well, and you know, that was pretty much it for that taping. You know, I mean, as far as, you know, Elgin helped me through the airport and got me around in the Uber and just being nervous and everything. And I got home, but after that, though, if you remember, it was like March 21st, I believe it was, is whenever the world shut down, I guess you would say. And that's when I really was going down every month for Impact in Nashville.
Yeah. Who are your guys in the locker room? Like who is your crew? Everybody always kind of goes to a corner, or they at least gravitate to the guys that they're with. Who is your crew?
Well, really and truly, and this is the God's honest truth, is that I would sit in the corner over there by myself, and then AC would kind of be, catty cornered there, and this, that was it. And then I'm more of a roamer. I don't have obviously when we go travel, you're our crew.
Yeah.
But you notice I will get up and just mingle, and
you're very social.
I like having my own space though,
Yeah, but never out of line. Never like look at me. Just like a hey to everybody, and then you're back in your group.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed sitting and talking with Johnny Swinger a lot, and Rhino, and I got to really get to know like Rosemary was a really sweetheart. Everyone was cool, obviously Carl, Chad, and Gallows, I would talk with them, and then Brian Myers, and I had so many friends, and like Sammy. And
I know you said that you had a really good relationship, Crazy Steve,
Crazy
Diener.
Steve. Me and Crazy Steve and Cody Diener would sit, and we would drink about 1 or 2 seltzers in Crazy Steve's room, and we would just talk wrestling. It was just like we're talking now. It was awesome, man. I think that Diener, I'm so proud of Cody Diener, because he's above wrestling, he's just a good human being. If you follow Cody Diener, like he's such like a humanitarian, like he's all about like going to talk to these kids and fundraising, and he's really a really solid guy, and now he's worked his way up in the backstage area, and he's doing well on TV, and just I can't be more happier for him. And then Crazy Steve, I can't say enough about him, is someone that you think that you wouldn't be as close friends with, that you end up being really tight with, and someone like him is really cool. Rich Swan.
That's it. Rich Swan.
Swan's my guy, man. I love Rich Swan. He really Nasu. They're just the thing about the Impact dressing room is like everyone's pretty cool, man. Like it is a family down there. I felt like I was a part of the family, but I was only allowed to the cookouts. I can go to catering, but I couldn't get in the floor.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You know what goes good with catering? Some commercials.
Yes,
so let's go to commercial, and we'll come back.
Hey, I'm Ryan the Lion. If you want to check out me and my music and my new podcast, Nick's Mayhem Music Review, go to SkullFace Records.
So you talked about, you guys were, a tag team, you were a unit, and you talked about gear. Didn't you say that Sami Callihan had bought you guys matching gear for, was it the first set of tapings?
He didn't buy us gear, but he had set us up with his gear maker. He did buy us the tops. Shout out Sami Callihan.
The vests or the tops.
He bought the triple XL top.
Those
are really cool.
How did you feel about like that look and you guys finally looking like a team?
I felt like fuck. I wish that we had gotten that from the jump. Mm-hmm. Right. I wish that I knew that we were going to be triple XL coming into television. I mean, we knew, but there's just not enough time. Like we found out. But I wish that the initial, when you see Larry D and AC Romero, triple XL is on our shit.
How did you feel like that tag team chemistry worked there in the very first match, and then how did you feel like it grew over time?
I think it had some growing pains. I felt like it was, just it was tough.
Did you guys feel like you started as like two singles wrestlers in a team?
Yes, I feel like it took a while for us to fall into the groove of being a tag team, which it was hard for me. It was hard for him. He's a very talented singles wrestler. I'm a very talented singles wrestler. Yeah. And we just have our way about how we would do things. But once we figured out how to use each other and really know who fits best where, that's when we started to like really see the potential of what we could do.
Yeah, I remember the move that you guys where you would both run together and squish the guy in the middle. What was y'all's tag team finisher? Did you all even have a tag team finish?
Yeah, well, it typically ended up with the big tag team finisher was typically me on the mat looking at there for 3 seconds. No, man, we had a couple things like we were doing like punch pounce. I thought that was good.
Yeah, his pounce is great.
His pounce is great.
For his size, they brought him in before they brought you in, and they put him in an Ultimate X match.
Yeah.
He's climbing ladders. He's doing the dive through the ropes.
And then if you think we had that little it was kind of like the LOD, the demolition thing, fucking
over the knee, elbow,
over the knee and elbow.
Yeah,
we had a couple real good things. It's just we never really get to show them much.
Yeah, and I was looking at these dates. I've got all of your matches written down here just because it's easy access for me to look down and be able to look and see every match that you had while you were there. And like we talked about, March 7th, you had that 4-way. Then on April 21st is Rebellion. Did you like the fact that you would be able to shoot, 3 or 4 episodes or at least 2 episodes in a row?
Looking back, I think the Impact's schedule was perfect for me, being the dad that I am. And we could go down there and tape a month, 6 weeks worth of television, and then I go back another 6 weeks, and go there. It's not like say a Monday Night Raw. You're in Pittsburgh this Monday, and then next Monday you're in fucking Orlando or everything that goes. The schedule, the way the Impact worked, I felt like it fit perfect for what I wanted and how I seen it.
Yeah, and did you also just enjoy the fact that you could be at home more? You get it all out of the way, but you also did have the strain of the fact that if they did bring you down for just a promo, you had told me that sometimes you're sitting there for hours just waiting to shoot that promo because they've got to get that in. How did you feel about that? Were you fine with going down there and sitting all day just to do a promo, or would you rather just say, throw me in something?
Obviously, I was begging. I wanted a match.
Yeah.
Obviously, But I also knew that I was under contract to do a job and that, I'm paid either way,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was part of it, I guess. If you're an upper guy, you can come in and knock those promos out and leave. But if you're a guy like us, then you just gotta catch it when you get it. They tell you get ready at 2:00. It might be 11:30 before you cut your promo.
Yeah. And a lot of these matches are, obviously they're trying you out with the same guys to see what your chemistry is, see who you work well with. So I'm going to just throw out a couple names of guys that you had multiple matches with there in the very beginning. So what was your opinion, or what did you think of? And, you can just give quick answers, or you can go into detail however you feel. What did you think about Reno Scum? They were there in your first match.
I think Reno Scum was kind of like AC and I. I think that they potentially could have been a great tag team. I think that they could have a good run at Impact, and just again creatively there was nothing for them, and I think that was their exit. So
what did you think about the odd couple tag team? We mentioned them, TJP and Fallah Bahh.
Loved them. I think that they had a great tag team on camera. I think the chemistry was great. The crowd loved them, and they're just great dudes in general. And TJP is one of the smartest guys that I've been with. I learned some stuff from him. Fallah Bahh, as you mentioned, we're great friends, and got real close with him, and yeah, I can't have nothing but good things to say about any of those guys.
What I think is really, really cool too is that whether you're in there with like a cruiserweight, a super heavyweight, a guy, that's your size, or a medium-sized guy, or the most, seasoned guy, or a rookie, you still go in there and you find a way to have that Larry D match, and you also find a way to bring out the best in them. And it was a scenario you told me about of sometimes you work with guys that don't know you and they're not familiar with you, and they take that control, and they've got kind of like the brakes on of I don't know you yet, and as they get comfortable with you, you begin to earn their trust and start to have that real fire and that real chemistry. How was it working with guys there? I'm sure when you first came in, they were like, we don't know you. They're probably a little apprehensive.
I mean, they know you, they knew who I was. But I think that it was more like, we got to help guide this guy because he's probably not been on this level of television before, and all that, which is great. I'm thankful for it, and they know where to be. They know the time well. So TJP's really good.
Yeah. How does it feel there when you're in the ring with those type of guys and they start to get that chemistry with you, they start to get that trust with you, and you get to start to have those bangers? I'm not sure. There was only a couple times that I really got to see the light and the fire where Larry D got to have a banger, but I do know that you did learn the respect of a lot of guys down there.
Yeah.
And, you had some real good chemistry at times. There was always a peak of what was possible.
Obviously, when I had the chance to wrestle with Sammy, I knew, man, this is it. Like when I would get in with guys like Jake, Jake Christ, I I knew like, hey, I can shine here. I know that these guys want to make me. They want to show these guys just as much of what I can do as I do because they know that we're linked. They know that we're, we come up in the Midwest together, and like those guys help push my name. So I mean, they're going to continue to do that. But man, I think that whenever I wrestled Sami Callihan, that singles match is where I kind of showed the television like, hey, this guy's he's doing something here. Like I had myself in decent shape. I had a good showing against the former world champion, and at that point I was like, well, they're going to do something. They can see the hard work. Surely they would notice.
How does it feel, then and now when you meet somebody for the first time, like somebody you would consider a name or somebody maybe that you looked up to at a certain time, and they already know who you are, and it's like, Larry, I know you.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool because. You never think that. You never think that people would know who you are. I've always looked at myself as, I'm just old Larry from Kentucky. I love wrestling, and I think what gets me the most respect is the fact that I'm genuine about it. I don't, I love everything about it. I love the good. I love the bad. I love the ugly. And they know that I'm going to honestly do what I can to be genuinely the good person that I am, on top of making them better people and better wrestlers, even if they're not my students. They have me watch matches. They have me do everything that I want. They know that I'm going to give it to them straight up, and that's what I like about the doing what I do the most. You know?
The really cool thing too is that if they know who you are, you're doing something.
Of course,
you are making your impact.
And when you got guys who are on the upper level that like. I thought it was the coolest thing when Moose knew who I was. He was like, hey, Larry D, what's up? Willie Mack, guys like that, and people like Ken Shamrock. That was weird, hopping on.
I remember you said you just had a random conversation with him about one of his shoot fights.
Yeah, man, and like he's one of the nicest people we've ever met. Really, I was there whenever he got inducted to the Hall of Fame, when they played the Rocks video and all that induction stuff. Man, really, really, really cool experience. Really, that's what I love about it the most is when they know who you are, that tells you, like, man, I come from a little old nothing, and now these millionaires know my name.
Yeah, good, bad, or indifferent. It's an experience, and every experience builds us into the man or the person that we're supposed to be. We've got a lot more to cover. We'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
You're listening to me, Max, and the mic, right here, Mr. Irving Max Sledd, and
legendary Larry D. Thank you for joining us here at SkullFace Records.
Oh man, it's the only podcast that is truly everything
legendary.
SkullFace Records.
We're back, and another team that we can't talk about your journey in Impact Wrestling without talking about this team, because you did a lot of work together, and I know that you got to know these guys not just in Impact Wrestling but also in your time at Rockstar, your Midwest days. You had a lot of matches with the Rascals.
Yeah, I love the Rascals, man. To be honest, those guys, I loved it because I got to watch their rise. I walked into Dayton, Ohio, and knew those guys right there. They got something. Even before I even thought the fact that, like, I'm going to get a job. Like, I knew they was going to get a job. It's just a matter of time. And, getting down there and working with them and just, they're so creative, and it's you almost find yourself, like, in awe of, like, oh, shit, did he just do that? And they're just real good people. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, we talked about, so far, all these matches you guys lost, or you may not have been the guys that lost, but you were in the match. Right. You didn't pick up a victory. Your first victory is going to come on May 5th. It's an Impact Wrestling taping, and you guys get the big win over the team of OVE, and that is the team of Jake Chris and Madman Fulton. Isn't it kind of, ironic, or at least fitting, that the guy that you said is one of your favorite opponents, he's one of the guys that has always, upheld you, lifted you up, talked good about you, helped you to get there, and he's also the first guy to lay his shoulders to the mat and to put Triple XL over in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, man, I tell you, that was cool. And thinking on it like that, that's really cool, because he was a big supporter of me getting there. And, getting in there, that makes it even more comfortable, I guess you would say, because we've had such good matches before. And even then, as a matter, you have all the great matches in the world, But when that red light comes on, it's a whole. You're right back to the first time that you've ever wrestled. So you got to be there. You got to be everything you need. And like that, that's where the Tommy Dreamer story comes in here. Is if it's the match that I remember, we had these big tope dives and everything like that, and I was all big and. Everyone.
It was so cool when you finally it was like, hey man, I'm gonna dive through these ropes. I was like, what? And I remember you did in our matches as a tag team, and it's what you're gonna do. What? It's cool, man. You care if I hold the ropes open? Get them back in here. I'll go for the pin.
I caught this hot tag, and Dreamer was our agent, and I ducked the clothesline. And I caught this. Boom! I was going nuts.
Big dive, right?
Big tope dive. We did double suplexes, whatever the fuck. Got to the back.
Thought you was hot.
Larry D, that was the shit. That was all I've been here, man. This, that, and another. And I look over, and Tommy Dreamer's like, and I was like, what? What'd you think? And he was like, this fucking shit. I fucking hated it. What?
Here you're on top of the world. You're like, that's it. I finally did it.
Did you not see everyone was on fire. And like I thought he was kidding at first. And I was like, yeah, man, that's real good. And he was like, why in the fuck would you at 350 pounds come in there and duck a clothesline from a man that's 185 pounds and you're fresh? He's like, run through that motherfucker. So, and then he went on to explain how he had lost interest in it the whole time and just it was not for him. And he was like, all that cool shit that you did and everything, he said, it meant nothing. It meant nothing. He said, if you'd have run through that line, I'd have been fucking tapping you on the back the same way. He said, but I'm not one of them. He's like, I hate that you ducked that clothesline. Don't you dare. He was chewing my ass pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you watch now, I will not duck a clothesline.
I know you run through guys. And the thing is I love the fact that you told me, you're like, you remind me a lot of Tommy Dreamer in the way you talk to these guys because we're always trying to build them up. And like I tell guys, when you lose me, you lose me.
Yeah, he was
and I never, ever want to critique a guy and have them think that I'm shitting on him.
No.
I don't ever want you to feel bad. I want you to learn. I want you to get better. I want you to grow so that the next time you don't make that mistake and I just pat you on the back.
And from that point forward, man, he didn't really talk to me as much. It was just a business thing.
Yeah.
But I earned his respect down the line, though, so that's okay.
Yeah, and that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
So you guys got your first big win. That's awesome. We've talked about all these teams, but something else that's very special that I noticed here is we had talked about how you had faced Michael Elgin in the match that had got you pretty much signed. Who knows? Maybe they were already going to sign you, but it was that night. It was December 7th, 2019, when you had faced Michael Elgin. Everything comes full circle. And so I was noticing here going through the notes that on June 20th, it's Explosion. And that's their little sideshow. It's really big overseas. Over here, not a lot of people see it. If you have Impact Plus, I recommend getting Impact Plus, seeing all the old footage. You can see all Larry D's matches. You can see everything that we talked about. But the point is, June 20th, you get this singles match. It's your first singles match featured on Impact where you're not a team with AC Romero and you're getting that chance. You're back in the ring with Big Mike Elgin.
Yeah, and it was better than No Surrender. I felt good about it. For the first time, is like the thing about it is I told you, man, he's like, wow, he's catch this. But the thing about television is we only had a certain amount of time, so I was fine everywhere. I knew where I needed to be. We only had 8 minutes. If I can't do that, then I don't need to be there. And I felt really good that, like, man, they know I can go in the singles. Now I'm out here with Mike Elgin. We had a decent one for an Explosion match. And, I just felt like it was just a stride up. But to me, I felt really good going out of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. Now, did it deter you at all, the fact that we see here that you got there in March? We've got all the way here to June 20th. So March to June, at least as far as it is appearing on television. And out of that entire time, whether it's you in a singles, which we said that was your first big singles alone, or tag team, which you primarily were, one victory the entire time.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel? Did you even notice it at the time?
No. I mean, yeah, obviously, it's like everyone can say, man, I'm here to do my job. It doesn't matter what I do. You want to be the guy. Don't fucking sit here and tell me you don't want to be the guy.
You guys definitely weren't in that chase for the Impact belts.
Wasn't in the chase for the titles at all. I don't feel like there was anything outside of just doing what we were doing, just being good hands and putting on to the next and letting these guys go on to the next. I was happy to be there, but I wanted more. I knew I deserved more. I felt,
Yeah.
So.
And at this point here, we're talking about just the beginning. Let's try to forget that how it's going to end.
Right.
Let's forget what comes after this. Up to that point, how are you feeling? Have you made a mistake signing with Impact? You feel bad?
I don't think I ever looked at that point and I made a mistake. I don't think I ever made a mistake by signing with Impact.
You're still on fire. You're still working hard.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm there for at that point. It's like you're here 3 years. You got time. Just wait your time and be the best employee that you could be. I really felt that way. I didn't feel indifferent. I didn't feel anything except just keep working. Just keep working hard. You're here.
Yeah. And the thing is that I can guarantee, I know you, and I know because you would come home and we would talk. We'd talk every night while you're there. We'd talk when you got home. We would go to the gym. You'd be working twice as hard. We'd be talking then. I know that at least to this point, you don't feel like you've made your impact.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I feel like there's so much more that we could do, but I felt like maybe it's my weight. Maybe it's my look. Maybe I don't know what it is, but they signed me like this. They wanted me here. And then you start to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, look at you, look at your body, look at, you don't look, no wonder you're not getting pushed. Look at you, fat fuck.
Started to blame yourself.
You started to blame yourself. You started to be like, okay. And then, unbeknownstly, Ace Romero gave me the motivation that I need to get myself in the gym. And he had said something along the lines of, hey man, maybe not drink as many beers on this next set. And I'm like, well, wait a minute here, man. Like, you ain't no fucking itty bitty motherfucker either. That's what I thought to myself. So, me is like, I'm high. Yeah, that's right, man. But inside my head, me, I was like, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
And you did.
And I came back and that's when I started my journey of I'm not saying I was pissed off at AC. I was never pissed off. I didn't need that little motivation.
You're just pushing.
Yeah, man.
We talk about it. You're always wanting to push outside that box, always get better, always level up. And that's something that you do wind up doing. What happened at Impact has no bearings on how hard you worked because you pushed hard. And so that's another part of your journey. The reason I was saying you just didn't quite feel like you had made your impact yet is because there's a lot more of this story to be told. So that's going to be it for this time. We've got a few questions, and then I'm going to talk about what we're going to talk about next time on episode 3.
I like that.
We're going to take this quick break, and we're going to come back with your questions for Larry D. Ask him anything.
Oh, I'm scared.
All right, we're back, and we've got fan questions for Larry D. We asked him to ask anything. Andrew Do Browning, right?
Oh, Dude's my guy.
Hey, that's it. He's always going live. I'm going to just mention his live videos. If you get a chance, take a look. But for today, he's on this podcast, and he has a question for you. He wants to know what your favorite and best matches were. I'm assuming he means in Impact Wrestling.
In Impact, I think that my favorite and best matches were with Sami Callihan. And I feel like Tommy Dreamer, and then believe it or not, when I was not under contract, I feel like my best outing was when they allowed me to go in there with Bhupinder. So
that was here recently.
Yeah, that was recently. But I would say that Dreamer was probably more the ups. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was ECW rules. Obviously, they can't use the ECW name, so they say old school rules. But when it's Tommy Dreamer and an old school match, they mean ECW rules. You and Tommy Dreamer.
That's how I earned his respect. He's an agent, so he's running around. He's got fucking scripts and everything in his hands, getting pre-tapes. He's getting matches together. He's back and forth to the production. He comes to me and says, "Hey, I don't have all day to sit here and do this." He's like, "I'm gonna be in and out." He's like, "You come up with it, and then we'll fix it from there." And man, I was, "Oh fuck, what am I gonna do?" Shit, he don't like me anyway. And he kept digging what I was putting down every 2 hours that he would come up there, and then we went up there and he had his little gimmicks spaced out. And man, the damnest thing is like, he brings the shit to the ring. Like, he brings this garbage can to the ring that's loaded with weapons, and like it sits there the whole time. But as I'm selling around, it's like I turn and then he hits me with a weapon here. Everything is placed where it needed to be. However he got it there, I don't know. But I know that it ended up in a garbage can, but it was placed perfectly. He's that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan wants to know, no last name, it's just Jordan.
Okay.
Wants to know, are you done with Impact Wrestling? What is your status with Impact Wrestling?
I think the question should be, is Impact Wrestling done with me? I mean, obviously I feel that I've opened the door to business with them, even after asking for my release. So, I mean, I would love to go back to Impact Wrestling. I would love to go back and show them what I could still do, and I could be an asset to their company still. I feel that way, but I feel the ball is in their court. I think I've always had it there. I want to be there. I just need you to want me there.
Keith wants to know, what is the difference between the Larry D match and, basically I think what he's getting at, if I were to break his question down, is he wants to know, like, why you? Why not just bring in anybody else? Like, what does Larry D bring to the table that nobody else does? Why would someone invest in bringing you to their show?
I think that you get natural, you get real. I think that in wrestling, we get a bunch of characters. Everybody's a character in pro wrestling. Very seldom do we get something that's real, something that's genuine. And I feel that I am genuine. And what you see is that's Larry D. That's Larry Jones. It's that when I come to the curtain, I am that fighting dad. Whether you like me, love me, hate me, whatever it be, I'm that dad. I'm that dad that's fighting for the family. I'm that dad that's just keeping his job. I'm out here just doing what I do. And I don't have to paint my face. I don't got to run around in, mini skirts and act foolish or whatever. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. But I feel like what you see is what you get, and it's just hard work, and that's a bad motherfucker right there.
That's great. And finally, Mike wants to know, let me make sure I get it pulled up here. I want to make sure I ask this question right. Mike wants to know, do you prefer to be a good guy or do you prefer to be a bad guy?
Well, I don't know the difference. I just prefer to be me. I think that it's something that's highly misconstrued in pro wrestling is I got to be the bad guy. I like being a heel better. I can get the crowd real fired up if they let me be a heel, or be a baby face, or I better wear my bright colors tonight if I'm a baby face.
Ain't me from the same town.
It's such a question that people will fucking have different opinions on, of good, bad, evil, whatever. I'll just be me. If it's up to them to like me, it's up to them to hate me. And I feel that, I just go with I give them what they give me. I guess back in the day, before I was educated as I was on pro wrestling, that I would prefer to say, man, I'd rather be a heel because, I can easily go piss someone off. But I don't know. Now it doesn't matter, really. I am me. It doesn't matter if I'm a good guy, a bad guy, a heel, a face, or even the old rugged term, a tweener. I don't believe in all that stuff. I just believe in I'm a competitor. I'm not good, I'm not bad, I'm a competitor. I'm an athlete, treat me as though.
Yeah. Now, here's a question for me. Who's your dream match? Who's the next match? You've worked so many people, so many names, and the thing is, it doesn't even have to be like a name. But when you sit down and you think about, what I got left, and what is that match that I need, or that I want, or we talked about Moose. Maybe it's Moose, but who is that match?
Josh Alexander.
You, the Impact Heavyweight Champion.
Josh Alexander. I've been saying it for 2 years. I want Josh Alexander. I feel like right now, myself and Josh Alexander would absolutely destroy it. No doubt in my mind that myself and Josh Alexander would destroy it. And one to one. And even then, like I said, I want Moose. I mean, there's so many. I want Eric Young. Keep going. I can list them all. I want Swerve. Now that he's out here, I want Swerve. I want anybody. I just feel like, but yeah. I mean, I feel like right now, I want Moose, someone like that. Give me Moose. Give me Moose.
It seems like you're not the type of guy to sit down and make that bucket list, or that, let me put this online, and these are my checkoff guys. These are my guys. I think that you want, hey, the door's open. Who wants Larry D?
Yeah, yes, 100%. Because I know I'm ready to perform with all of them. But if I had my choice right now, give me Josh Alexander or give me Moose.
I think that is money.
Yes, I agree.
So, We're done with this week. That wraps up the questions. Going into next week, episode 3, making an impact. But this right here, episode 3 is a little bit different because we're going into the COVID era. Obviously, a couple of these matches, they took place during the COVID era, but you'll notice that I didn't really touch on it.
No.
Because, next week on the show, I want to talk about how COVID affected you and how COVID affected professional wrestling, and more importantly, how COVID affected Impact and maybe you making an impact. And during that point in time, everything was shut down. Something very special happened in your career. It could be the highlight. I don't know about if it is for you, but definitely for a lot of the fans.
Yeah.
And that was Wrestle House. So next week we talk about COVID. We talk about a little Lawrence D. Maybe we spray a little ring rust.
Yeah, I think it smells wonderful.
Hey, we talk about Wrestle House.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I'm excited for that one.
All right, let's wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to Me, Maxx, and a Mic. Episode 2, we love having each and every one of you here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Get this video out because we can't do it without each and every one of you. This podcast is very special to my heart. It's very special to Larry's heart. But it doesn't matter if it's not special to each and every one of you. I can't wait to have you with us next week when we sit down and we talk about COVID. We talk about Wrestle House. And most importantly, we talk about making an impact. This is Me, Maxx, and a Mic, and it's the only podcast that is truly everything
legendary.
Let's go. Thank you for watching. See you next week.